Welcome to all of you to this webinar dedicated to the second open call of Fortissimo. Guy Lonsdale is giving us a presentation about useful information to participate to this open call. I would like to start with a short introduction on the initiative I4MS. As you probably know, the objective of this initiative is to promote the use of ICT technologies, innovative technologies that have been developed during the ICT project in the 7 framework program. The objective, the outcome is to promote the use of this technology among manufacturing industries in Europe, and especially in SMEs. The picture that you can see right now is probably familiar to you and indicates that there is a gap, a chasm between innovators and the adopters of the technology. The objective of the proposal of I4MS is to helping companies to crossing the chasm. The initiative I4MS started in the 1st of July on 2013, and it involved 7 ICT projects in different areas of innovation. We have 3 projects in the HPC cloud-based simulation services. 1 project for promoting advanced robot solutions, and 2 projects dedicated to the innovative laser application, and 1 project in intelligent sensor-based equipment. In this period, in these 3 months from April to June, we are in a very intensive period of I4MS, since we have 3 open calls open, 1 for Europe, the second one for Fortissimo that we are going to know a little bit more later, and the Cloud SMEs open call. And also, we are very glad to announce that we have already planned the great event in Berlin. I invite all of you to register on our webpage. And also you can follow us on our channels on LinkedIn, Twitter, and also, as the already mentioned, portal. You can also contact me for a specific question regarding the initiative. So I'll leave you now the microphone to Guy Lonsdale that will give us information about the second open call of Fortissimo. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Guy Lonsdale from Scarpos, and Scarpos is in charge of the operational management of the Fortissimo project. And in addition to that, I'm responsible for the work package that deals with the open calls for the project, so that's why I'm talking to you. I was going to originally give a quick intro to I4MS, but Carmen's dealt with that nicely, so I'll just go into explain the project and the details of the open call. I'll try and keep it fairly short, and then we could go into a Q&A session. Any questions you have, I'm happy to answer, or we can handle things later offline. So I think you should be able to see my screen. Right. So the Fortissimo project is about building a set of HPC, high-performance computing resources, in the cloud to solve SMEs' business challenges. And I should point out, it's not an R&D project. It's not a normal research project. It's not about technology development. It's really focused on problem solving. So our target is to really investigate and demonstrate the business benefits for SMEs, or for engineering and manufacturing SMEs. As you saw, Fortissimo is part of the I4MS project, so that's within the bigger range of the bigger view of the Factories of the Future initiative. And I4MS targets SMEs, but that's one of the activities in the Framework 7 program, which will be extended into Horizon 2020, that are initiatives to support SMEs in general. This is a very specific one in Factories of the Future and I4MS. And the general idea of the Fortissimo is that we want to bring all the necessary actors or players together in a marketplace to solve business problems. So Fortissimo is quite a large project. Overall, it will be receiving 16 million euros in funding. And a large part, an important part of that is the growth of the project over the period. It's a 3-year project. We started with 45 partners. After the first call, it's already clear that we're going to have more than 90 already within this year. So it's going to be well more than 90 partners when we get to the final year. We started with 20 initial experiments, and we've already held one open call, and we're now promoting, and the second open call is open for proposals for new experiments. And that's the real basis of the project. The core of the project is a large set of experiments where all the players for an experiment, all the partners necessary to perform the investigation and the demonstration are involved. And that's a special construct within the project. So typically each experiment has between 2 and 4 partners. One special feature is that it may be that a specific experiment has all its partners from one country, but the EU context is created from the project as a whole. So the interaction between European partners and the European countries is achieved as a whole across the project. Within each experiment, the center here is the end user. So we're really looking to solve end users' problems, business-driven experiments, and the end user is assisted by a variety of potential players, HPC experts, the HPC service provider, or the interaction with the service provider for the use of the systems, independent software vendors. We often talk about ISVs, so software vendors, research software providers. So we have both commercial and research software, or open source and closed source commercial software, and then also application experts. So this picture is typical of the sort of experiments we're expecting. We have in the project, within the consortium agreement, arranged some constructs that there's some of the concerns for SMEs and ISVs are addressed, so that each of the experiments has, in a sense, a certain protection around it. Not all the information that happens in an experiment necessarily needs to be passed on to other partners. Okay, here are a couple of examples of current experiments. So they're experiments that came out of the original proposal, and you can find information about these on the web page, but I've got some specific comments. Both of these are looking at using computational fluid dynamics. So they're both actually by accident, because of the status where we're in the project, both the CFD. But CFD is not necessarily the topic. It can be any form of simulation or any form of computation methods. But it also means that CFD is not ruled out. If you're coming with a CFD based proposal, that's fine. The focus, you should be looking carefully about what am I using it for, what's the purpose. So on the left you see an example of an SME, which is a manufacturer, a manufacturing end user. They create sports cars or hypercars, and the purpose for them is to show that using HPC simulation in the Fortissimo cloud can actually improve their design process. So on the web page, you'll see one of the current pictures of the simulation that they have based on this sort of car. In call 2, we will be focusing a lot on manufacturing SMEs. So that will come up again and again, that there's been more of a focus in call 2 than there were in previous calls, or the previous call and the initial set of experiments. So on the right-hand side, you see an example, again, CFD based, or actually multi-physics simulation. Here the SME is an engineering SME. It's a consulting company. It also resells EngineSoft in Italy, resells simulation software. So it's somewhere between an ISV and an end user. It has expertise in computer engineering, virtual prototyping, and one of the issues that we had in the innovation for Fortissimo as a whole was to allow companies to perform business-based experiments to see what the benefits for ISVs were in the context of Fortissimo. And experiment 418 is looking at setting up investigating cloud-based simulation services for, in this case, the example is centrifugal pumps, for particular end users. In that experiment, the end user wasn't involved directly. The focus on call 2, as I said, is really addressing the business needs of manufacturing and SMEs. So for the call 2 proposals, we will be expecting end users to be involved. But in the past, there was a more general approach taken. You can see some of that here. I don't have time to go into the details of all the experiments. This slide shows you, in a sense, a set of buzzwords for the original cloud of experiments in the original proposal. And these are the experiments that are now running. So you can see quite a range of activities. We have, I mentioned CFD. This was the CFD for automotive design, multi-physics simulation. We also had very different applications, so tools for urban planning, or here civil engineering, simulating snow transport, or air quality over cities. So we have quite a range of activities there. Also some more classical manufacturing, forming, casting, or metal foundries, or crash tests. There's quite a lot of detail on the web page about these experiments. The second cloud of experiments is actually now in progress of being integrated into the project as a result of the first call, which closed in January. So on the web page, you will find some information. You'll find a very short summary, but because the negotiation of contract negotiation with the Commission is ongoing, we can't provide as much information, so you won't see names of partners there. But you see there's quite a range of activities there again, but particularly a focus on manufacturing processes, laser welding, sheet metal forming, advanced casting, manufacturing design for specific applications, so camshafts or automotive transmission systems, high temperature chimneys or boat design. And then some more general technologies or services for manufacturing, like optimization for the steel component manufacturer, or decision support for the operational support. We had quite some new areas related to renewable energy, so hydraulic turbines, tidal farm engineering, some activities in the pharma and oil and gas. So again, we had quite a range of successful proposals to the last call. There is information about that available. I'm mentioning this because it's important, because what you see is one of the key criterions that we're looking for experiments that complement the existing set that are going on within Fortissimo. So I just mentioned that. It's the second open call is as all the open calls for the I4MS projects, is a competitive call for HPC cloud-based application experiments for this specific project. It's a competitive call means that we will be using independent external evaluators to review the proposals. The process is very similar to that used by the European Commission, and we follow the guidelines set by the Commission. We have a specific target for call 2 for simulation services that benefit manufacturing SMEs. So, and as I mentioned, the priority will be given to proposals that complement the existing Fortissimo experiments. In the call documentation, we actually explain what we mean by complement, but we're not looking to simply do a little bit more of running experiments or replicate them. We're looking for new markets, new users, new aspects. It doesn't rule out an extension where you maybe do something with the same company but is totally different. But complementarity means doing something new, providing added value to the project to demonstrate further aspects of what the impact of HPC in the cloud could be. And I've already mentioned this, but the investigations and demonstrations within the proposals, within the experiments, should be business relevant and show that the services that your investigator are using in the Fortissimo HPC cloud really have the potential to create business benefits for manufacturing SMEs. So, in case that wasn't obvious, we're not looking for research-based academic investigations or research to do development of technology. We're looking to solve problems for manufacturing SMEs. I mentioned already, each of the experiments, the proposal you submit should include all the partners necessary to perform the work. So you need all of them. It may not be all of the ones in the picture here. It may be that your experiment just needs 2 or 3 of them, but you need to have all of them involved that are needed to do the work. We expect, and it's a condition, that all of the proposals, all the experiments will be using the Fortissimo HPC infrastructure within the project. So that means that you should be interacting with one of the HPC centers involved in the project. It is possible that you would wish to work with application or HPC experts that are already there, or ISVs. So on the web page under calls partnering, you'll find information about partners within Fortissimo that are interested in or open to collaboration and new proposals. So now to the key details. One of the issues we have is we need to get this will be the 3rd wave of experiments, and we wish to have them running for 18 months starting in January. So that meant that we have to, working back from that and allowing the time for evaluation and the negotiation with the Commission to get the project the proposals included, we have to have a submission deadline of 18th of June, and I realise this is quite short, so apologies for that. But that's the time frame we were having to work with. That said, we are not looking for long documents. We expect each proposal to be a maximum of 10 pages. So the issue is not to write volumes, but to be very clear about what you want to do and be sharp and succinct. I've already mentioned the duration participation. The budget is a key issue. For this call, it's smaller than the call 1. We have up to 2 million funding for the new beneficiaries, so for new partners to the project. And very important that each of the proposals, including all the costs and all the funding for all those involved in the proposal, the maximum funding is €250,000. That's the same as we had for the previous call. There are a set of documents that are available, and I advise you to have a look at. And they're all available on the web page, either at I4MS or linked from I4MS to the Fortissimo page on the calls. There are actually 2 pages you should look at. The first 2 provide the call text, the introduction, the background to the call, explains the objectives, and then there's a proposer's guide explaining the evaluation criteria. And we provide an exemplar document or a template for preparing your proposal. And we recommend that you use that Word or PDF document as basis for your proposal. In addition, 2 things that we learned from the previous call was we've provided some additional information. The first is important because what we try to do with this checklist is to explain or pose the questions you should answer in the framework of the evaluation criteria that we were using. There are 4 key areas of evaluation criteria, and we pose the questions that you should be answering in those. You should be answering as a proposer, and the evaluators will be looking at to answer in terms of their evaluation. So that should help you understand what it is we're looking for and how you'll be evaluated and what are the key issues. And then we have some an FAQ page, or both of them are on the web page at Fortissimo. Frequently asked questions. For example, what's the maximum funding? Do I need international partners? And so on. Some of the things I mentioned today you can look up on there. So that's all I wanted to say. I would then open up for questions if people have specific questions. You want to go into further detail on any of the things I presented or raised. Over to you.
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, hello. Well, it seems that no one else has questions. I'd like to ask a few questions, actually, but this is also based on the webinar for the first call. One question, the first question I have is about relevance to the existing experiments, because I see there's a long list of experiments already from the original project initiation, but also from the first call. And my question is the following, that when it says that it needs to complement existing experiments, there are 3 categories, or I say filters, that are available in the descriptions, and one goes to industry specific, one goes to technically specific, the other one goes to vendor software specific. So the first question is that complementarity is relative to what? So to give an example, I mean, you have an example, you have a filter that says for aerospace, and those are quite clear, the ones that show up for aerospace. But then if you go to the technical ones, you have anything from CFD to acoustics to multidisciplinary optimization. So from which point of view is the complementarity based on?
Okay, so the filters on the experiment pages were really there to be able to let people find similar things easier. So we're not using the filters to say you have to be complementary on A, B, or C. That was just a mechanism to let you find things that are of interest or things that match. Let's take for an example structural mechanics or whatever, some simulation area. It's perfectly okay to be using the same ISV or open source code, but what we're not looking for is the same code or the same application, the same type of user. That would be, the added value would be limited. That said, you know, if experiment 1 was an ISV that's selling its software only in Scandinavia, and your proposal had selling software in Spain, then you would have a different market. And it would be interesting to say, well, yeah, experiment 1 only applies to companies in Scandinavia, and our experiment applies to the Iberian Peninsula, and therefore we have a difference. There's a different market, the different users, different. That would be okay. I don't believe we have any such, but I'm trying to take an example.
That's understandable. So the thing is that, for example, we could propose, let's say, if I propose an aerospace case, which is different than the one, let's say, for example, that has Pipistrel doing aerodynamics of a small aircraft. As long as it's in aerodynamics, in aerospace, it's complementary. It doesn't have to be on the. You see, that's what I'm trying to get. You see, so this is the point I'm trying to figure out here.
So you don't have to fit into any of those categories. I think what we wanted to say, complementary means not duplicate.
No, not duplicate. But the thing is that, let's say, as I understand it from what you're saying, this rule about complementarity is talking about let's say, the specific technical domain, meaning that it's within CFD or acoustics vibration. It could be multidisciplinary optimization. So that is the point that you mean by complementarity, not the application-specific part. To where this is applied.
Applied. I think everything should be looking at the problems being solved, the applications, and the markets being addressed. So as I said, really, what we should have said is don't duplicate. Provide something new. And
yes, we will provide something new, but you see that is the thing. We want to provide something new, but then it says about complementarity. So we want to be absolutely sure what complementarity means in this case, because if it's aerospace, let's say, yes, we have a lot of applications which are new and are not in Fortissimo, but if they're in aerospace, they are considered complementary, or is it complementarity compared to the technical domain to which that application addresses? You see, that's what I'm trying to figure out to clarify here.
So that's good. I mean, we had these discussions. People understood complement was supposed to join on or extend or add to. And that's why I said we don't mean it in that sense. It should be something that's different.
So instead of complementarity, you mean broadening? Broadening of
broadening the scope.
Okay, yes. Broadening the scope. Okay, okay. So that answers that question. The second question is the following, because I studied most of the listed experiments. So I remember from the first WebEx there was the point about, okay, you make the distinguishing that we're not talking about technology development, we're talking about actual problem solving or facilitating of problem solving for SMEs or manufacturing or service SMEs. So I wanted to ask, would this include actually, let's say, a platform that enables SMEs to do very high-end applications? So that could mean perhaps SME supply chain activities for product development, or actual SMEs that may be able to specify a product through a platform, which requires HPC, of course.
Right. If you have, I'm not sure exactly. Let's imagine it was a workflow platform, that you had this platform that allowed SMEs to solve problems with HPC simulation or HPC computational components within the workflow. That's perfectly acceptable. You know, I think if we see here, we have, for instance, operational decision support for actually doing the processing, or optimization systems.
Could I give two examples? Let's say, for example, because the two examples I thought of are very different between them. So perhaps, let's say, for example, if there is a product development that requires the combination of different, let's say, subsystems, and one is really FEM dependent, the other one is CFD dependent, but at the end of the day, these need to be brought together. So, so understandably, these different subsystems come from different SMEs working together. So that's one example. The other example is on the side of testing, and I think everyone knows that when one deals with testing, whether it's, let's say, environmental tests or wind tunnel tests or acoustic chamber tests, the actual tests themselves, further than the cost of doing them, to actually prepare them and process all this data, which is a very big amount of data, is also not only costly but very multidisciplinary. So, it could be also in this sort of way that a very big part of investment and lack of tools and expertise by SMEs is to be able to also to, how should I say, optimize these experiments. Are those two different examples in the realm of Fortissimo, or are they too out there?
No, I mean, the first one sounds like multi-physics platform, and we already have an experiment that is looking at that, but it's looking at it, well, in general, but then there's the one I showed you was very multi-physics with very specific tools. So the topic is fine. Again, because of call two, we're looking at manufacturing SMEs. Then the onus will be on you to say, we're going to use this platform to solve problems for manufacturing SMEs, and we have them in the proposal, and what we're going to do is driven by their needs. What we're not, I mentioned, we're not a technology developer, so your platform would be essentially more or less need to be there. Cloudification or deployment in the cloud is acceptable, but we're not looking for roles that say we have this idea and we want to develop the platform because that's out of scope. Right?
No, I understand that. These ideas are based on research that has been done. Right, so the thing is that what we're looking now to see is that in Fortissimo, because as you say exactly, we're not looking to do from a zero level development. This work has been done, but at the end of the day, this needs to be put together into a process. And the thing is that the HPC part is always missing because in most projects, especially very high level data processing is done at separate locations. So this is so we want to use the cloud not only to connect everything, but to actually perform everything in the cloud.
Right. I mean, that's an important point you raise, that we really are looking for services that are deployed or require HPC. So if your system, your platform, your workflow requires components that are HPC based, then it fits. But we're not looking for things that don't require HPC.
No, everything we're thinking about requires HPC. Just to move on to the next to last question. First, you mentioned that this call is very specific for manufacturing SMEs. In this case, what I want to distinguish is that is it required in the proposal that you need to have a specific SME that is the end user, or is it possible that there is a need for it? I mean, to say that the proposal does not address one specific SME. It could be addressing a very broad range of SMEs in the same domain. But you understand what I'm trying to say? Is that do we need a specific SME who is an end user, or can the proposal be something that really reaches to a lot of SMEs in the same domain?
In principle, I understand your question. I think the issue is we really want to see the experiment being driven by a business need, so that at the end of the day, a manufacturing SME says, yes, this platform is brilliant, it brings me benefits, and this is the return on investment I think I would have. So I would indeed expect you to have an example. If it's a generic technology and your potential to sell to a wide range of SMEs, you should demonstrate that with a specific one or two, whatever fits in your budget, but really show that it works for that manufacturing SME.
Okay. Does this rule have a duality, meaning that the SMEs in the project that are also the providers or also the end users? Amongst the end users, we're not the specific ones, but you understand what I'm saying, that if you have one person who is supplying one system with, the modeling, the other person is supplying another system with the same modeling, but these SMEs need to work together towards a higher level product or integration. You understand what I mean? They're both providers and end users at the end of the day.
Right, but I think you need the manufacturing SME. If we just had two consultants working together, in general, I see a problem with that you don't have the problem-driven business need of a manufacturing SME involved. I will make I should explain an exception, perhaps. There are some industries where the final end user is not the person who would need computational support. So maybe in the building industry, you have a company that pours concrete into manufacture something, like pours concrete in, and manufactures docks or whatever. And the key SME may be a different, maybe the consultant, more with the design, the project management company. That would be an exception.
The question, I understand that. You see, this question goes to what I was saying previously in one case example, that we're talking about the supply chain. Because supply chain SMEs ultimately go to tier level suppliers or the OEM. So the thing is that each SME in the supply chain is providing something different. You see, so at the same time they are developer, but also the end user, because you see they need resources to bring different things together, which then go to the higher level end user, which is either the tier supplier or the OEM. You see, this is what I'm trying to get at.
But I mean, the program is about factories of the future, and I4MS is about ICT for manufacturing SMEs. So there's a focus and a priority on the manufacturing end users that are SMEs. Now, you may have a consultancy that brings in different players and different types.
We don't have consultancies. The thing is that what I'm saying is that the SMEs themselves have tools, but they are specific to the domain they're involved in. But the thing is that when they are working with other SMEs who are putting together their services, their products together into a system or a integrated product, which that goes to the higher level of the supply chain. You see, so it's this collaboration between SME supply chain players, which I'm looking at.
Okay, I think what you have to do is in the proposal you explain the role, you explain the market segment you're in and the key roles they play, and explain how those SMEs fit in, and you have to make the case that this fits the objectives.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Okay. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, that was it. Okay.
We had a number of questions there, which I think are very relevant for people in general, but maybe other people have questions. I'll open the floor.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. Can we go through the partnership for a second, as in the partners? Because this is quite relatively new for me. So, and I just, heard about this project. So my understanding is that we have to involve at least one of the partners that are actually on the website. Is that so?
That's not quite what I meant. What I need you to do, what we expect you to do, is to have interaction with one of the HPC centers. So we have, I should know this number off by heart. I think it's six or seven HPC centers. You can find them on the partnering page. You can identify the HPC centers, and they will be the people who will be providing access to one of the systems, or all the systems, or through them they will advise you on how to use the systems. They'll advise you on charging costs for use, or budgeting for costs of use of the systems. So we expect you to have an interaction with, or integration with, one of the HPC centers. There is no requirement for you to involve any other partners. the partnering pages for those other partners like experts or ISAs, just an offer. If you're looking for partners, then those existing Fortissimo partners are open to discuss it with you. But we do expect you to talk to one of the HPC centres. It may be that they have a role to play in the proposal or not, but we expect them to be integrated into your proposal. Is that clearer now?
Okay, I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is. Thank you very much.
I mean, maybe you say, well, I have this. I'm going to be running this application code, and my user needs access, and we're based in Outer Mongolia, yeah? And so I'm going to choose the center in Outer Mongolia that's going to talk to me and explain how to port the code and how to provide the cloud services, how to interact with the marketing, the marketplace. Just to correct myself, we don't have any partners in Outer Mongolia, but it was a country-neutral statement. But we have centres in France, Germany, Sweden, UK, Italy, Spain, and so you're free to choose any one of those to interact with.
And my last question, I see that the percentage of expenditure that's being covered is up to 75%, is that right?
This depends on your status. The typical funding for an SME is 75%, and then you have the possibility to have the 60% overhead. So it's your actual cost plus 60% overheads, flat rate, and then you get 75% funding of that.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Other questions?
Well, if there are no other questions, could I ask one small question, last one? Does Fortissimo, I mean, okay, SMEs should be involved, but is it allowed or preferable if in the consortium you include a higher level industry partner from a tier supplier or OEM?
We do have that. In one of the existing experiments, I think VW is involved in the experiment, although I don't think they get any funding, but they're involved. So that's actually, as you mentioned, there's the whole value chain, the whole dependencies, and if you have the supplier OEM relationship reflect in your experiment, that's fine.
Actually, I was asking this from a point of view that one issue that is often overlooked is that some end users are actually companies that actually need to build very big platforms to do part of the, in part of product development. So you understand that business segment is a very high cost endeavor even for a large company, and they do this with the supply chain. So I was wondering if in that respect, well, I wouldn't say they would be the end user, but you can understand that they are an integral player in this sort of business case. So I was wondering whether there are limits insofar as the size of the private enterprises that are in the proposals.
No, I mean we have there's no general limits. It's just the fact that the program focuses on supporting SMEs to get more out of HPC. I mean, the general argument is if you take the classical areas, automotive, aerospace, the big companies are using HPC and they've been doing so for some time. They know the benefits. They get the benefits of doing that. And the program, the project was saying, well, the benefits that the big players have can also be had from the small players.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not only that the smaller ones should have the same capabilities, but those capabilities to SME should also be connected seamlessly with the HPC capabilities of the larger player.
It's possible. It may not be possible, but yeah. So,
well, that's what I was referring to. How to provide those capabilities, but also to connect those capabilities.
Okay. So that's an interesting aspect.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? I've left this slide up at the moment because we've tried to put as much information up available as possible. I really recommend you look at, well, all of the documents, but take care with understanding what the objectives of the call are, explain the guideline, the text, and then really look at the proposal evaluator checklist so you can see what we're going to be asking the evaluators to think about when they evaluate your proposal. So we're being open, saying, these are the questions they will ask, so these are the questions you should be answering in your proposal. And then there's the frequent FAQ page that gives you some additional information. Okay. Well, I guess if there are no further questions, there is.
Could I
okay,
just ask one question, please?
Sure.
There was a comment earlier about if the end user was required to be one SME, or in fact, if the experiment you're doing would benefit lots of SMEs. Now, in one of the areas we're thinking about, we have potential end users. But in one of the applications, in essence, it would be a kind of generic solution or generic platform that we put our software on the cloud that could be used by many SMEs. And in fact, using this type of simulation that we specialize in, with one SME, HPC wouldn't necessarily be of benefit if you only have one client. But if the platform was there to actually benefit lots of SMEs in a particular area in manufacturing, would that be the business benefit that you could demonstrate using HPC?
I sort of sense that when you said that one SME would benefit from HPC, it sounds like you're saying, well, we would have services that would require lots of resources because we have lots of users.
Yes, exactly.
And in that case, you could be doing that on a standard cloud. You wouldn't need the high-performance computer and the high-performance computing architecture being offered. And that would be a case where we'd say, actually, they don't have HPC requirements. This could be done elsewhere. If the individual simulation, so we're not saying HPC requires supercomputers. It means cluster systems. The individual simulations, the individual computational jobs require more than just a 4-core or a 16-core box. We need an HPC system. It may be just part of an HPC system. So we're not expecting every application to be terascale or petascale, but you should explain why you need to use an HPC system as opposed to a standard cloud hosting system. That would be important to explain.
Okay, that points me in exactly the right direction. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Well, I guess if not, we could wrap things up. I could maybe pass back to Connor if she's got any comments. I should maybe add, we have in the documents you'll find there's the email address for if you've got any questions or evaluations at Fortissimo-project.eu. So you can contact us, you can contact me directly, and we'll try and answer any questions you have. What we don't do is provide a proposal evaluation or a screening service. We don't have the resources to do that, and we try and provide generic advice, as I've been doing here, answer questions about what are your objectives, what do you expect to have, but we wouldn't normally go into direct discussions about specific proposals. Okay, so if no further questions, then I will maybe hand back to Carmen. I just need to check to do that.
Okay, well, I just want to thank you, Guy, for this good presentation, and also the assistance for the questions initiative. Thank you all, and thank you, Guy, especially. Bye.